So you're wanting to get a blinker kit for your 2024 Plus RZR. Today, I'm going to show you what kit we used and why we used them. So let's get it. Now at first, this kit is very integrated to the system. We did install crush lights, which were part of the kit that you see here. Now in the rear, the kit actually integrates very well with the original tail lights, so you don't have to add anything there. Now the biggest reason is everything integrates all in on this handle, and it integrates very well with the dash if you have a sport model because, well, you get your turn signals. And the beauty about this switch is that it has everything on it, including your horn. Left, right, and your hazards. Now the kit that we're going to be installing is MCS brand. I will put a link down in the description. It's not sponsored by any means. This just happens to be the kit that we chose. Really happy with it, but let's get to the install. So the biggest thing on installing these, you want to go ahead and get your interior seats out. You want to get your two panels off the front up here. You're going to take those off. I'm going to pull the bed off because it makes it a little bit easier getting stuff run around. You don't have to, but it's literally 4 bolts. We can pull it out the way. We've also got to pull the shifter knob, and literally it's pretty much plug and play. Everything goes pretty quick and easy. So let's get to it. All right, now the seats are out. We need to get access to the center console portion. So what we're gonna do, pull the shift knob off. Then we're gonna take the screws that are down here in this bottom, along with these trim clips here in a second, you'll see. Pull this out. We're gonna go ahead and pop this back panel off. For those of you who don't know, it's literally just quick turn connects that you have. Same thing over here. Got those quick connects there. Pop those loose. This panel pops up out of the way. All right, so we got that back panel out. We're now gonna work on the center console section. We wanna get it out and out of the way. All right, so if you notice there is a slight indentation that's in this thing. Just take that, pop it up, spin it around, and then now you have a bolt to take loose here. All right, now this is a T25 Torx. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is actually take the bolts out. If you'll see, there's 1, 2, and then there's a third one on this side up here. There's also, you've got a clip here, a clip there, and then on the driver's side, you actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and you still got that clip there. I believe there's supposed to be a clip here, but mine is missing it. So not gonna worry about it. Let's get those off, and then we'll pull this first center section out. On the 4-seaters, the front has to come out first. Now this, on these screws here, are gonna be should be a T40. Let me double check. Yep, T40. And we're just gonna buzz these loose. All right, now this first one's kind of a pain in the rear to get to. And I'm gonna use this 90-degree angle one just because it's a lot smaller. Back that one out. All right, and over here we've got 3 on the passenger side. All right, now we've got these clips here. You can do it with just a screwdriver if you wanted to. Pry that up and then pop this out. Or you can use a pry tool. So we got that one, we've got this one. I think I'm missing one on this machine, but I don't know. It's my first one owning. I believe there should have been one on the other side. All right. Now, all right, we got the front panel out. We're gonna work on this rear panel now. Now there's gonna be 2 screws on this left passenger side here, and then the driver's side, you're gonna have 2, plus you got a couple clips in the back once again. And don't go snatching this thing out because you do have this power plug. I'm gonna get this thing loose where I can flip it over, see it better, and get it off. All All right, so there's only 4 screws holding this back panel on. You got 2 on this side, 2 on there. And then you have a couple clips. Technically a few. There's 3 of them to pop loose. All right, now be careful lifting this off because you do have wires here. So what I'm gonna do, lift the back up, kind of rotate it some so I can just see what I'm working with here. All right, the black is on the passenger side, the red is on the driver's side. All right, so we have the back panel out, we have our drive shaft, well, not drive shaft, but our tunnel, center tunnel out. This is all we need to do here. Now we've got to pull this panel off and we've got to pull that outer front panel off up here. And we've got to pull the windshield off. Makes it a lot easier. Once we get that off, we'll be able to start running this stuff. Pull this loose. This is not necessarily a step that you have to take, but it makes things a lot easier. Basically pulling your bed loose. It's literally 4 bolts. Now pulling the bed out is not necessarily needed, but it does make things easier to run the wiring, just to tidy it up real nice. But we now have everything out of the machine that we need. And in order to start running this kit, windshield's out, the roof's out, your pulse bar is going to be located down back in here. So this is pretty much the kit. Not a whole lot to it. You have your crush lights up here in the top. Just below that, you have your turn signal, your actual lever. You have your rear brake light harness kit, your horn. This is your turn signal kit if you have like a sport model. Miscellaneous stuff. All right, so your turn signal arm is going to come like this. Now, if you notice, it has a hose clamp attached to it. Now, if you're going to run a hose clamp mount, this is already set up for it. Now, if you have like a 24 RZR, you're going to get this bracket that goes with it actually bolts into the actual steering column, and that's what we're going to use. Now for that to happen, you've got to undo these 2 bolts and bolt this on. You'll notice this bracket also has a couple bends in it. The side that has the little short bend, that's what's going to actually bolt up to that lever here. Now this back one back here, you'll see has got an extra hole back here to actually feed the screwdriver through. All right, once you get them started, just start snugging them down. All right, and that's all you got to do on that. All right, and there's your bracket installed on that. Now we're going to take the steering wheel, make sure it's all the way down in the position. Now you're going to have a Allen head bolt here with a nut on the back side. All right, and on this back side you have a 10mm nut, and you just want to break this thing loose, pull it all the way off. All right, now take this, slide it around here. Now this is the hardest part of this entire kit because you got to get this thing pushed down at the right angle and around the bolt that's there. There we go. I'm going to put the nut back on. And start tightening everything back up. All right, now we're going to take our wire set and we're going to feed it through here. Now the best way is really to go through here because you have a pretty big block. But if you feed it right through there, you can pull all of it out wherever you need that, and it'll come out through the top up here. All right, now this is going to be your rear harness, and it's all in a big bundle. Go ahead and cut it loose. Now what you're going to see, the one end has a single plug. That goes to the front of the machine. The back of the machine, you're going to have the 2 pigtails. Now the one that's you see here, which is in the middle, is going to go to the driver's side brake light. The other one is going to go to your passenger side. All right, so we're going to start here at the back. I'm going to go ahead and unplug the tail light. Just pull the connector up, and then what's going to happen is, of course, you got male and females. These just literally plug into place, snap them back in. I'm going to go do this one. What you're going to notice, this kit gives you plenty of wiring. We're going to take this wire and I'm going to feed it down, following this other wiring that you see here. Feed it down through there. I'll go ahead and pull most of my slack out. All right, now we've got it through here. Now it's not going to go through here. What you're going to do is there's a slot down here that has more wires running through it. And you're going to feed this piece through there, just like so. Pull your slack out once more. All right, now we can feed this stuff underneath the brackets here. And just follow the wiring that is already here. I said just follow all your factory wiring all down through here. And now you're just going to feed this up through your dash. All right, and take and feed this up through the top. Helps with two people. So we've got that. Now here is the harness. Everything plugs in to this, and it's pretty simple because there's a 2-pin, a 3-pin, and a 6-pin. So this is your 2-pin. You can't really mix it up because there are flats. So you plug these in, and that gets you lights to the rear. All right, so this is going to be the crush light kit that you get, and what you're going to see is they are 30 centimeters for the RZRs, and they have a little channel there. They're actually going to go up in here and crush in between the light itself and the actual plastic. I'll show you that in a second. But this is the harness. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed most of this stuff through the grommet here. All right, so the grommet we're talking about, if you were actually to take a look at the right front, there is a grommet sitting right here, has a hole in it. It goes through the firewall and it comes in to the RZR right here. And that's where you're going to feed your harness through. So I would go ahead and pull this grommet out. It's easier to feed the stuff through this out of the machine. If not, it's probably just going to fall out anyway and you're going to be fighting it. So we'll go ahead and feed the light boxes through. And then we will feed the horn wire through. And now we can reinstall this in the firewall. Now you got to make sure you go ahead and put all your stuff that you fed through back in the hole. Just like so. All right, now we're going to install this grommet back through the firewall. It can be a little tricky. Got everything run through the firewall there. I've got the grommet reinstalled back. Now, depending on if the wiring harness gets fixed by the time you get yours, this is my extension. I'm going to drop it in, and then basically I'm going to plug in my 6-pin connector here. Now we'll head to the inside. All right, and then here is my 6-pin here, and along with my extension, and I'm just going to plug it like so. Now we're going to take our power cable, and I'm going to feed it up and out the top. All right, now we're out the top. This is the power cable to plug in. Now, if you're not using the Polaris pulse bar, you will use these plugs. If you are, you simply unsnap this, and you're going to take one of your pins out down here in your pulse bar. You're going to grab it, undo it, and then you're going to plug this in its place. All right, now we've got this installed. We basically have our wiring up here is mostly done, with the exception of we've got to plug in for our switch, or for our turn signal indicators. Now it comes with this one. This is just nothing but it's really nothing but just a flasher. It just lets you know when something's on. Kit also comes with these little tiny green lights in here that if you want to put these on the dash, you can. But since we're tying into the harness, we're going to use this wire here. All right, that's pretty simple. This plug is just going to plug in to this 2-pin that's there. And now we've got to pull loose the harness that goes to the back of the dash cluster. So you're going to push in. It takes a little effort, but there we go. All right, now that we got that harness off, go ahead and grab you 2 flatheads. I'll show you why. So the first part is you want to kind of pry this piece, push it forward, and pry these out just a hair. Now don't break them off. All right, now we've got this thing open. Now what I would go ahead and do is go ahead and you're going to have these 2 white slits that you see on each side. Take that, put one here and one here, and you're going to pop that off just like so. All right, now you're going to take pin 6 and 7, which is basically in the sport is the 2 that are in between the wires. You're going to pop those little blue pieces right out of there and literally just kind of pry them up and out. Like so. All right, now on the other end, you're going to have these 2 pigtails, and you're going to have a number in there. There's 6 and 7. Now 6 is the one that's closest to the middle to the brown wire. That is going to be your green. You're basically going to push that in all the way. You'll hear a snap. That means you're in there. Yellow is going to go right beside the other yellow wire. Push it in till you hear a snap. And make sure they're all lined up on the end. And what you're going to do here is take your cap and reinstall it back the way it came off. Slides on there, and then close this up. Now make sure your wires do not get pinched, but you're going to take and close this back up like so, and then plug it back in. All right, now we've got that done. We're going to go ahead and install these crush lights. Now, where these lights sit at is they're going to sit between the plastic of the actual cover of the lens and the plastic here. Now this gap is way too tight. Now if you look behind the headlight, this is the upper right front. You'll see there's a screw there. There's one also on the top over there. And what you're going to do is you're going to loosen them up, and that's going to allow this headlight to sit back. Loosen it up enough to get your crush light to fit right up in here. All right, now got that loose. Take and feed this through there, and then take your light and you're going to push this end up in there. Now this thing has this little lip, so that's going to be kind of where it seats between the light housing and the actual housing portion. Let me back this top one out a little bit more. All right, we'll feed that right through there. All right, and there's our pigtail coming out. Now, all right, now what I'm going to do is I want to get this thing down to where that ledge is just caught between the light and that, and that's what's going to help hold it in place better. And then we're going to tighten our light back up. Now don't over tighten it, but you do want to tighten it to help hold it in place. All right, that's not going anywhere. All right, now we're going to take, once we've got those installed, we're going to take our light bracket or our light wires and just bring them up to the top here. Then you're going to reach down and grab your 2 boxes that you have for your turn signals, and you're going to bring them up. Now, we're a little tight on this one because of the addition, but what we've got here, this is the right turn signal box, so I'm going to plug it in, making sure the connectors are going the right way. Make sure it snaps, locks in place. Grab our left one. We're going to do the same thing with it. And lock it in, snap it in, lock it over, like so. Now, we're going to come back and tidy this stuff up, but just for now, we want to make sure it works. But before we do that, let's get this horn installed. All right, so this is the horn, and you have your ground wire, and then you have your positive, which is going to be down here in the bottom. Let me get it pulled up. Like that. Now for us, we are mounting these right here. So 10 millimeter, undo it. All right, now we're gonna put the horn in its place. Now you could put the ground here, but I'm gonna run it to the other side just because it'll lay a little bit better. Now I can go ahead and hook this up to it. It shouldn't matter which one you hook this up to, whether you put the ground on one side or positive on the other, it doesn't really matter. And now we'll tighten this back up. All right, now I'm going to run the ground right over here on this side. Now that should be everything. Now what you're going to notice too is on this harness, you're going to have this box. And it says key and battery. So you basically can flip to either one, whether you want the lights to operate off the battery, so that means if the key is not in, they're supposed to work, or you can go to key only, so when the key is on, it works. Now what we have found on the other kit is if you're in battery mode, the fronts do work, but the rears don't. So right now, we technically should be able to get front flashers on, even though my key is out. And we have them. Now the rear should not be working. So that's the only bad thing about the keyed versus non-keyed is you don't get that. Now, if I were to turn the machine on to the on position, we should have flashers. So a little hard to see with the sunlight. But so the key actually doesn't really, honestly, it makes no sense to really have the key, to be honest. I'm gonna flip ours over. I'm gonna flip this one back over to battery, or to key, I mean, excuse me. Had that backwards. There's no point in having it battery. Might as well have it on the key. All right, now let's make sure that I have the lefts going left. All right, so my left blinker's on, right is off. Let me double check the rear, making sure I didn't get anything crossed. Left on, right off. And then right should be working. All right, so we've got our right lights. Now there's one other thing to test real quick, and that is the horn, which works. So everything looks good on this. Now there is one other step. Now this kit does not come with a tag bracket nor tag lights. Now what I have done is I have made my own tag bracket to go down here, bought a cheap tag light. So the only thing I have left to do on this kit is actually take my tag wires, tag light wires. I'm gonna run them up, and this kit, actually, this one's on both sides. You have a set of wires here for your tag light. So you're able to crimp, cut those off, crimp those on, run your tag light down. Other than that, it's literally just going to be putting your machine back together. In this case, I'm going to get the wiring tidied up. Then I'm going to start putting all the panels back on. I want to get everything nice and neat. All right, so I'm doing the last bit of tidying up here in the front. Now, I've got all these wires, but there's one thing to keep in mind. You have this relay here. Now, this is for the actual flashing mechanism. This doesn't need to get wet. So I've got it up here. It shouldn't get wet, but for extra security measures, I'm going to take a plastic baggie and literally just wrap it around it. And I'm going to kind of roll it over the edge some. And then I'm going to zip tie it really good. And that just gives us extra protection. You may at some point have to replace a relay, so just keep that in mind. But that should do that. And now we're just going to tidy up this wires. Now I'm going to tell you, I am not a wiring guy. I don't, you know, I don't know how to make this stuff look neat. But I'm going to take my extras. I'm going to route this stuff around. I'm going to fasten it all down. Most of this stuff up here is not going to be seen. So my big thing is getting everything kind of, you know, nice and tidy as much as I can. Although I have a huge mess on my hands, but I'm going to kind of wrap all this stuff up. And honestly, I'm just going to zip tie it all together into a nice bundle. By the time I put the cover on it, you'll never know. I just don't want it rattling around. So let me finish this. All right, here we are. This is underneath the front portion. This is what's going to be hidden in the back. Now we step to the inside, and whoop, we have the wiring coming down, following the existing wire all the way through, and then we're going out the back, down here at the bottom. Then we're coming up through there, routed it around here, back up and over, and then tying everything off all the way down through here. All right, now at this point you can start putting everything back together, but we're getting ready to start adding a rear view camera, which I will save for a whole nother video. So I'm not gonna put this together yet. I'm gonna get this camera added and finish up my tag, and then we'll end off where this thing is finished. So we'll see you in just a minute. Well, the install, well, it kind of is a little time consuming, but it's not bad at all. And honestly, we've had these kit for a few months now on here and been really happy with them. So really a big shout out to MCS for the kit that they provide and what they offer. It's not a terribly expensive system. We looked at some of the other ones that were more expensive, but this one just really fit the bill for the price and everything. Really happy with it. Thank you guys for watching, but stay tuned because we got so much more coming up, including some rides. But for this one, we're going to end it off here. Hope you guys have a great one. We'll catch you next time.